I did not begin communicating with Doug until after he had already been divorced, and for a period of time we were just friends. Then it evolved into something more. I approached somebody in whom I had complete faith and said, "Hey, I am aware that I am in a situation in which people are watching me. I would like to make use of wisdom, and I would appreciate it if you could assist me in my journey in this connection." "Well, we need to meet him, talk to him, and find out his story," they all responded at the same time. This is exactly what they did, and when they returned, they all remarked, "We understand his situation, and we believe there is a way that the Bible explains it. We are okay with you beginning the dating process, but we would appreciate it if you could ease down." Are you of the opinion that Doug's decision to leave and marry Joni constitutes grounds for divorce in this particular scenario? Oh my goodness, that is a challenging and straightforward question, isn't it? No. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for returning to our channel. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to join us today as we delve into a tale that has been the topic of conversation in the Christian media industry for almost 2 years at this point. Daystar's Joni Lamb and marriage therapist Doug Weiss have been involved in a brief romantic relationship, which has resulted in a multitude of questions, disputes, and even accusation. In this day and age, we are going to investigate the facts, the timings, and the claims that have caused a great number of individuals to scratch their heads. The assertion that Doug Weiss made was that his wife, Lisa, was the one who deserted him. Evidence, on the other hand, indicates that he was the one who deserted her, and Joni Lamb was the one who urged him to do so. How come? You won't want to miss out on this story, so make sure you fasten your seatbelt. To begin, let's go back to the beginning. Joni Lamb, who was one of the co-founders of Daystar Television Network, suffered a terrible loss in November 2021 when her husband Marcus Lamb passed away. Marcus was not only her life partner but also her co-host on the renowned show Ministry Now. Pastor Marcus was her life partner. She experienced a significant emptiness in both her personal and professional life as a result of his passing. However, Joni began a connection with Doug Weiss, a well-known marital and sex therapist who was at the time still married to his wife of over 30 years, Lisa Weiss. This occurred just a few months after his passing. At this point, things start to take an unusual turn. There was a time on one of Joni's broadcasts where she stated that she had a conversation with Doug Weiss for a total of 19 hours on the night that Marcus passed away. Those who were devoted to Daystar TV may remember this moment. It is true that you heard that correctly, 19 hours. It appears that Doug, who was still married to Lisa at the time, was a significant source of solace for Joni when she was going through the most difficult moment of her life. As a result of this discovery, many people have begun to wonder about whether or not Joni and Doug had been involved in more activities before to Marcus's passing. In addition to adding gasoline to the fire, Doug Weiss himself has made several statements that raise eyebrows by themselves. During one of his statements, he asserted that he was the first person to see Marcus Lamb in his casket after it had been opened. "When they opened the casket, I was the first person there, and I was there before anyone else was even there. You know something? When I think about it, I find it quite ironic, because I had feelings for Marcus. Indeed, you are aware that I have loved him for many years, not only as a man but also for what he has created and who he is, including his children and his family." At this point, it is possible that this is nothing more than a simple expression of support. Nonetheless, it has caused some individuals to wonder whether Doug's role in Marcus's demise was more than just emotional support. Some people have even gone so far as to argue that Marcus's death need to be re-examined, possibly even as a case for the forensic files. Whether or not these assertions have any basis in reality, there is no doubt that they have contributed to the air of mystery that surrounds this event. It is now time to discuss Doug's appearance on Ministry Now, which will take place in April of 2022. As a result of this appearance, substantial issues have been raised, particularly when the time frame is taken into consideration. A petition for divorce was submitted by Doug to his wife Lisa in January of 2022. Nevertheless, here he was, only 3 months later, appearing on national television while wearing his wedding band and raving about his wife and children. Hold on, things are about to get even more difficult. The relationship between Doug and Joni Lamb wasn't established until just 2 months after this appearance. The assertion made by Joni that she and Doug did not communicate with one another until after the divorce concluded in May 2022 is clearly contradicted by this information. In addition to this, there is Joni's ardent backing of Doug's choice to divorce his wife. One audio clip that is particularly illuminating is the one in which Joni delivers a statement that Doug made regarding his marriage to Lisa. In the audio, Doug describes the difficulties that have arisen in his marriage and accuses Lisa of having intimacy anorexia, which is a term that he contributed to popularizing. His assertion was that she was perpetually too busy for their relationship and that she purposefully withheld affection from him. Joni was adamant that Doug had undergone enough suffering and that continuing to be in a marriage that was characterized by neglect was not an honor to God. Let's have a listen to a portion of what she had to say. What, spiritual, emotional, praise, nurturing, all of that stuff. Can you explain it to us in more detail? Did she simply choose to ignore you and not communicate with you? Yeah, it didn't make a difference. When I arrived home, she would ignore me for 3 to 4 hours each night while she was on the phone or reading something. I was feeling really neglected. It seemed like a black hole, and it was a terrible experience. Like, if you really want to know, no, I am not interested in the specifics. It is time for me to proceed to the next phase. Joni continues by stating that Doug gave 1,000% of his effort to salvage his marriage, but it was not enough. She goes so far as to argue that remaining in a relationship that is violent or inattentive is not an honorable thing to do before God. Despite the fact that these are all true considerations, it is difficult to disregard the timing of everything. Considering that Doug was such an authority on marriage and intimacy, it is puzzling that he was unable to salvage his own marriage. What was it about Joni, a widow who was still suffering the loss of her husband, that made her feel obliged to intervene and defend Doug's right to leave his wife? Was it because Joni considered that she was the most qualified person to replace Marcus, not just as her co-host on Ministry Now, but also as her life partner, that she encouraged Doug to leave his wife? Numerous inquiries continued to accumulate. To what extent was Doug's divorce caused by an irreparable marriage, or was it more likely that his increasing connection with Joni had a role in the decision? In addition, what is Joni's part in all of this business? Is it possible that she considered Doug to be the ideal replacement for Marcus, both on and off the screen? In response to these queries, both fans and critics have expressed a need for answers. Things rapidly became more serious. Beginning in February 2023, Doug made the announcement that he was divorcing Lisa, and by May 31st, the divorce was official. However, here's the meat of the matter. Doug continued to counsel couples at his marriage counseling clinic without disclosing the fact that he had previously divorced. A great number of people have referred to this as deceitful, stating that his private life ought to have been open and honest to those who were looking for his advice. And then there was the incident that occurred at the Empire State Building. According to Doug, God instructed him to take Joni to the top of the famous monument and present her with a Tiffany ring to celebrate their engagement. Despite the fact that some people consider this to be romantic, others consider it to be manipulative, particularly considering how quickly their love developed. As a result of the fact that there are reports that imply the two were heavily making out on their early dates, issues have been raised regarding their ability to exercise self-control and the spiritual underpinning of their partnership. In spite of the fact that Doug and Joni insist that their connection is divinely decreed, many people are left questioning whether or not this was actually God's design, or whether or not there were human feelings and wants at play. What about Lisa Weiss, by the way? Before we decide to designate Doug as the victim in this case, shouldn't we give her the opportunity to tell her side of the story? Joni and Doug have continued to move forward with their relationship, even going so far as to publicly state that it is a manifestation of the Lord's will through their relationship. Many people, however, continue to have questions. Is it possible that this was a case of divine intervention, or was it a well-calculated strategy to replace Marcus Lamb, both in Joni's life and on Ministry Now? Do you believe that God actually ordained this connection, or is there more to the story than meets the eye? I would like to find out from you regarding this contentious romantic relationship. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Doug and Joni's relationship started off as a result of a simple misunderstanding? Or do you think there is more to the story? In the comment section below, please let me know what you think, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for additional in-depth explorations of the subjects that are most important to you. We are grateful that you watched our videos. It is important to keep in mind that our purpose is to discover the truth, to convey love, and to shed light on the tales that make our world. Stay fortunate and continue to be curious till we meet again. May the Lord bless you.